Sometimes when you're laying your websites out with HTML and divs and CSS, it's not always going to be an ideal layout where you can slice it in perfect rows from Photoshop. Um, I've put together this quick little wireframe.cc for you that shows a basic rendering of what a website layout might be like, where you've got a header, you've got a nav bar, and you've got a couple of columns below. But this time in the header, I've dropped in other slices. Maybe these are your social media icons, or maybe this is your login area, a search area. In any case, it's simply a header that's not broken up into perfect rows. The way that you've been taught so far is to slice it in Photoshop with just these perfect small rows going across, and that works a lot of the time, but not in every instance. So in this session, I want to very quickly go over the theory on what you would need to do to get a layout like this functioning properly in your code. It's actually quite simple. You would go ahead and slice it just like you see here. So this would be what your slice layout would look like. And then you essentially would make an extra div inside of your HTML and CSS. The extra div would go right around these guys, right around here. And normally you would simply have like a float left and a float left, float left, float left, float right on these divs as I'm pointing. In this case, you're going to have a float left on this, whether it's an image or a div, either one. You're going to put a div around these and just consider that to be a float right. So you would have one float left and one float right up here. Once you get inside of this new div, then you treat it just like any other layout component, where you've got your own rows here now. So this would be float left, float left, float left, float right. This would have a left, right, left, and left, and that should make everything line up. So if you've got an unconventional layout where things aren't lining up side to side perfectly, the simple solution is to just break it down into smaller divs. If you can't make everything fit in one row across, simply group things so that it looks like one object in a row. So this works with many layouts. You don't have to look far before you'll see some examples out there where you don't really have everything in perfect rows. So an extra div around here, you would simply do that in your code. There's nothing to do as far as slicing or anything. You just kind of have to understand the theory first and drop that extra div tag right inside of your HTML code. As far as the CSS goes, that's also quite simple. All you're going to need on it is the width, the before mentioned float, and really that's it. So hope that helps you with some of your layouts, and we'll see you in the next session.